Okay, good morning and welcome to Iyun Kesubos, parak number 29. We're discussing today. We're starting a new parak, and we're going to talk about a new halach in the Torah about someone who rapes, who's ma'anis, a nara. According to our mayor, it's exclusively a nara. She's not a Bulgaris yet. I mean, she's between 12 years and 12 years and 6 months, a 6-month window. And you rape her, and she's a psula, you have to, two things. First of all, you have to pay 50 silver coins to her father, which comes out like a ksuva, masayim zuz, 50 slime, which equals, every cell has 4 dinarim, which is $200, 200 shekel, or maybe 200 dinarim, Kuwaiti dinarim, we've discussed, the most expensive currency in the world. Or, and the second halach is you have to marry her. You're forced to marry her, and you can't marry her forever. Now, our Mishnah discusses cases that are chidushim a little bit, where you really can't stay married to her. Chayve lavin, chayve krisus, right? You rape someone who's a mamzeres. You can't be married to a mamzeres, right? And even more, alachoso, your sister, or your wife's sister, and there's the 7 krisus it mentions in the Mishnah. And according to the Rabbanan, we're going to see there's a machlokas about that. According to most opinions, you can't stay married to these people. And according to everybody, you can't stay married to these people. We force you to get out of the marriage. So if you are forced to get out of the marriage, how do you have the second tenet of the halacha that you have to remain married to her? You can't remain married to her. So this is the discussion on Chaf Ten Amud Beis. How do you resolve this issue? So according to the Rabbanan, which is our Mishnah, the Stama, the anonymous Mishnah, we have Rav Papa and Reish Lakish who combine to say that there's extra words in this parsha, Nara and Psula, are each repeated 3 times. So therefore, since they're repeated 3 times, you have 6 times, 2 legufe, 2 for other drashas, and 2 tell you that even in a case where you can't remain married to her, the chayve lavin, chayve krisos, like our Mishnah says, you still pay the knas, you still pay the 50 silver coins to the father of this nara, right? If she's not alive, if the father's not alive, we'll see later on in the parak what happens to the money. But in general, if the father's alive, you give the money to the father. But you can't marry her, right? You can't marry her. You can't stay married to her. So you don't have to marry her. But still, you pay the money. We see at the end of Chav Ten Amud Beis, towards the bottom, that there's two Tanaim that argue, right? Shimon Atemni and Shimon Menasya. And we pass like a Shimon Menasya that that say that you can only pay the knas if you can stay married to her, right? And what's the nafkamina? The Gemara says alavin, chayve lavin. We don't pass on to Rabbi Akiva, but chayve lavin is the difference. Rishon Atemni says ish b'havaya, so chayve lavin there is havaya. But according to Shimon Asya, it has to be royal lakaima. You have to be able to stay married to her. Even a chayve lavin, mazeres and asina, Basin forces you to get married, even though the marriage takes effect. The illusion is tofsin. You have to get divorced from her. And therefore they say there's no knas. The whole parsha is dissolved. There's no parsha. You don't need to give 50 slime, 50 silver coins to the father. According to the anonymous Mishnah, you would give it nonetheless. So what's the machlokas between these two opinions? Right? Do you give them money? Does the parsha apply when you can't marry her, or only applies when you can marry her? So I'd like to explain what is the point of this 50 slime. What is its service? So I'll explain the machlokas tanoim as follows: that according to the Chachamim or a Mishnah, the anonymous Mishnah, we don't pass them like, right? Nonetheless, even though you can't stay married to her, right? You can't be married to her. You don't have the second tanai, the second stipulation of the halachas of Nara, where you raped her, Nara Shenensa. There's no halacha of that. However, nonetheless, there's a reborn in the Torah, and you still pay the knas. So according to him, even though they're not getting married, you pay the knas. I would say it's a knas, like a fine, you know. Shelo yechoti niskar. We want to dissuade people from raping people, so we punish you monetarily. It's a pretty steep punishment. I mean, 50 silver coins, I guess, is worth a lot of money. Sometimes people say nowadays it's the amount you pay for a ksuba, right? A lot of Rabbanim hold a ksuba is between $3,000 and $10,000. Imagine if you raped a woman, you pay $10,000. It's a pretty steep fine. But we hold like a Shimon Nasya. No, that's not the pshat. The pshat is that even if you can't marry the girl, you don't pay the knas. But why? If it's a penalty, who cares if you can marry her or not? right? We want to dissuade people from raping naras, right? People are girls that can be taken advantage of easily, right? We're talking about if she's older than 12 and a half, she has maturity, right? She does it willingly usually. It's harder to rape a woman like that. She has mental maturity. Younger girls are easier to trafficking, There's a lot, if you don't know about that, there's a lot of a big business in the world called human trafficking, where they use for slavery or sexual taking advantage of people sexually to use them for whatever they want. So human trafficking is common, especially among younger girls. So I would say like this is how we hold like a Shem Manasseh, that like the Gemara says, it says it compares the money to Mor Absulas. Mor Absulas is another way of saying the ksuba. Right? When I marry a girl willingly, right? Nothing to do with raping the girl, I have to give her a ksuba, like this whole Masechta is about ksuba. Mafata and ones are compared to a ksuba, and that's, we learn from that, the same amount of money you give for ones and mafata you give also for ksuba. So I would say that's what Rosh Manasseh holds, that it only applies, the knas only applies when you're marrying her, because what the money is in place of a ksuba, that's what it is. Right? It's to start off their marriage on the right foot. Technically you give it to the father, because the woman, she's too young to know how to handle the money, but the purpose of a ksuba, the purpose of the ksuba is to secure the marriage, that the man shouldn't divorce her right away, and then she should have protection. The guy that basically, she should be secure in the marriage. That if the man were to divorce her, he's gonna have to pay her a lot of money. So it secures the marriage. It's a security blanket for the marriage to help the girl stay married to the guy, and the father has the money also. The father would get the money if he divorces her. So if he rapes her, the father gets the money. So even though here you're giving the money, we'll discuss when he actually gives the money to the lady, but even if he gives it right away after he's ma'anis her, the fact that he has to pay the money to the father, that's sort of like giving the ksuba already. Over there, we'll see the ksuba is not just to ensure that he doesn't divorce her, it's also giving her the ksuba is because he's paying for, this is real pshan in ksuba, is he's paying for virginity, right? A virgin commands double the price of a ba'ula, of an almana, someone who's been together with a man before, because a virgin is considered a commodity, is considered something more valuable. Anything you buy a refrigerator, the minute you use it goes down half its value. The same with a woman. The minute you use the woman, she goes down half her value. So you're paying for that nice feature that she's a psula. That's the value. That's the value of marrying a virgin. She's worth 200 zuz. She's worth 50 silver coins, and the same, but almana, she's worth less. She's worth half that. She's used already. So a psula is worth that much money, and that's the reason that you're giving to the father over here, not necessarily because you're already giving the money here. It's not to secure the marriage. It's really just because you have to pay, because you're marrying her now, and that's the value of marrying a woman. To pay for virginity is 200 zuz or 50 silver coins. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next year coming up soon.